Good evening. Hi, good morning. I'm Ben.
I'm Tracy.
And we are stepping off the wheel.
We never get that right.
Never do, probably never will. So, in our last episode, we talked about the fact that we're moving from Atlanta, Georgia to Puerto Aventuras, Mexico, and some of the things that we've done to prepare to do that. Well, actually, Tracy's done all the research to prepare us to do that. I just kind of follow along. But today we wanted to talk a little bit about crime and safety in Mexico because this topic comes up all the time. And we know that there's a lot of other stuff out there on the web and on YouTube, and we've watched most of it ourselves. Great content. But for today, we thought if we're going to do a series on moving to Mexico and our experience, then we need to touch on it in our voice, right?
Yeah, it's really important. Every time we tell people that we're moving to Mexico, most of their responses are, is it safe?
At the end of the video, we're going to give our top 10 tips or suggestions to avoid problems in Mexico. But to be honest, these same tips apply to anywhere here in the States. We're in Midtown Atlanta. Downtown Atlanta is not exactly the safest place in the world.
Okay, but before we get started, we wanted to say a big thank you to the people that have liked and subscribed to our brand new YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everything you guys have done and all of your suggestions and thoughts. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're brand new to this vlog thing. We have no idea what we're doing. But we finished off our first week with 22 subscribers. Awesome. We just really appreciate your words of encouragement. We'll keep doing it as long as you like what we put out. We'll keep doing it. Okay. So one of the questions we get asked all the time, especially by friends and family, is whether or not Mexico's safe. And we've been going there for how long?
Almost 15 years.
About 15 years. And in our experience, it's just as safe as most places we've been in the United States.
Or safer. There's some places that you don't want to go, just like in the United States, and there's some places that you definitely want to go. But the one thing that we like about Mexico is it's a lot of fun.
And now it's time for our top 10 suggestions on ways to avoid problems when you're down in Mexico. Number 1, use your head. I mean, the bottom line is a lot of times people go down to Mexico and they act in ways that they would never act when they're at home, even when on vacation. I realize that in Mexico, things are a little bit more lax sometimes, but that's no reason for you to act, let your guard down. Act the same way as you would if you were here in the States, and you'll be fine.
We're on a swing.
So number 2, don't do anything illegal. Don't get involved in illegal activities. A lot of people want to go down there and buy weed or, score other drugs or whatever, but you're dealing with criminals when you do that. So if you want to avoid crime, don't do illegal things.
Number 3, drink responsibly. It's okay to have a few drinks here and there, but do not overindulge because you'll find yourself in a vulnerable position. Exactly. We're walking around in Piedmont Park in Atlanta. It's awesome.
It's a lovely day, but it is in
a little crisp.
Little crisp out. Okay, rule number 4 to minimize your risk is to be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention to who's paying attention to you. The best way to be safe is to avoid an unsafe situation altogether.
And it's okay if you feel like somebody's following you to just stop, turn around, and look them in the eye. That way they know that you know that they're following you.
That's right. Number 5, make sure that you have an inside door latch on your room. This is something that we got bit on one time, but you don't know how many keys to your room might be floating around out there. So by having an inside door latch that you can only secure from the inside, that ensures that at least you're going to be warned if somebody's trying to get into your room.
Number 6.
Dedicated on-site security. This probably won't be included in some Airbnbs, but we like to stay at places that have dedicated on-site security. In fact, at Puerto Aventuras, you have to go through at least one security gate, but often multiple security gates to even get to some of the neighborhoods. In addition to that, we look for on-site security just to make sure that somebody's walking around 24/7 looking for somebody that might be up to mischief.
Number 7, store your valuables in a safe.
Absolutely, and make sure that the safe is bolted to a wall. We've heard stories of people actually walking off with the safe and everything. So that means your passport, your driver's license, immigration card. A trick we learned a long time ago is to actually just take a picture of that stuff, and then you can carry that with you on your phone and keep the valuables in the safe. And that way, God forbid you lose them, you actually have a backup copy that you can use to get a replacement.
Yep.
Numero 8.
Learn the language.
Remember, you're in a foreign country, and this might not seem like a safety tip, but honestly, your ability to communicate sometimes will help keep you out of some sticky situations.
Yes, so please learn the language. Number 9, have a travel plan.
Yep, know where you're going, and more importantly, know places that you want to avoid. It's also a really good idea to share that plan with friends or family so they can kind of keep track of you, or at least know your last known whereabouts. All right, number 10, avoiding the ketchup trick. Now that's kind of a little name that we came up with, but Tracy, why don't you describe the situation? You're the one that actually found it. It happens more than you think.
Well, what the ketchup trick is you'll be in line at a grocery store or anywhere, and someone will come up behind you, squirt ketchup on you, and walk away. And then another person will come up and say, oh, you have ketchup, let me take you to the bathroom and help you clean it off.
And all they're really trying to do is just get you alone. So
they can rob you. So if somebody ever comes up to you and says, let me help you to get you alone, thank them and politely walk away and report them.
all right, well, that about wraps it up. We hope you found this information useful. A lot of it's just kind of common sense, and it applies to anywhere you're going, not necessarily Mexico, but also here in the States. We just want you to have a good time when you're down there. It's pretty easy in our experience to avoid problems when you're down there. It's just, use common sense is what it all boils down to. We hope you enjoyed this video and would appreciate it if you give us a like or comment below.
And subscribe. Thanks, guys. We'll see you
Have a
next
good one.
time.